Douglas Fir, Symbiotic menzii. Its native range is from British Columbia down to Northern California, so that west coast of America. It's grown here in the UK as a timber species. It very much likes Devon, which is where I live. Likes these deep valleys, mild weather, also wet as well weather, but it can't cope with waterlogged sites. So if you've got it right down the bottom of the valley and it's quite wet down there, like the ground floods easily, then you don't want it down there. It's an easily identifiable tree. This bark is very corky when it's older, quite fissured. When it's younger, it's got more of a smoother bark, but it's got this sort of sap bobbles going around the tree, and if you poke them with a knife or with your thumb, you can get out the sap, and it actually smells really citrusy. It's a really nice smell, and it's also a key identifier of the tree as well. The leaves are nice and light, they're not sharp, not like Sitka spruce. The underside of the needles, they have these two white stomatal bands running up them. That's where it does its respiration. The cones as well are another really good identifier. In fact, this is one of the best ways to identify Douglas fir. On the between the scales, you get these bracts, and they're sort of three-pointed bracts, and there's no other one that you're going to get like that in the UK. So that's a really good identifier. Douglas fir has been called the forester's tree, and that's because it's got this gun barrel shape to it. It barely tapers off. It's incredibly strong wood. Unlike most conifers, this actually has the properties almost of a hardwood, so it's used in a lot of timber frame building. And also, I've been told by a forester in Sussex a while back that he actually had shipbuilders come to his woodland and pick out individual Douglas fir to use as their mass. Douglas fir is a relatively shade tolerant tree, especially in an open canopy like this one. And this is what you want to get good, big timber. You need to give them lots of space and lots of light. But what's good is that the Douglas fir can actually regenerate fairly easily under itself in this open canopy. And that bodes well for types of management such as continuous cover forestry. So instead of us just clear felling this area, we can actually have the trees that have naturally regenerated or have been planted underneath our main crop. We then take out some of the older crop, pockets of it, and we allow those planted or regenerated ones to come up and fill that space. And so we're never left with just an open bomb site. It's more continuously covered, so you've got a mix of ages in this area. This tree's name comes from two Scotsmen. The first one to name the tree was a chap called Menzies, who travelled out to west coast of America in the late 1700s, came across this, and he named it Abies menzii after himself. He actually named it wrong. The Abies part is a botanical name for fir tree. This is not a fir tree, but it's closely related. Following on from that period, in the early 1800s, 1820, something like that, a chap called David Douglas went out to the same area. He found the tree, and he named it Symbiotic menzii. He also named, the English name was named after him, Douglas fir. David Douglas is quite an interesting character. He was an explorer, a plant hunter. He actually wanted to do a trip overland from Alaska all the way back to England, going through Siberia, and so that was a big inspiration for me actually to do my own trip, which was from the UK to Far East Russia and Japan on a motorbike, so a bit easier than what he probably would have done on boats and everything, and walking. He actually then died a horrible death, only at the age of 35. He was in Hawaii, plant hunting again, and he fell into a pit that was dug out to catch cattle, and he fell into this pit, and in the pit was a bull and it actually trampled him to death. Now, like every tree, there's fungus that connect to all of these in these symbiotic relationships. And Douglas fir is known to have over 2,000 fungal relationships. Through these relationships, plants can transport nutrients between each other. These are not distributed randomly, and as one study on Douglas fir found, they can actually recognise their own kin, and the mother tree will send nutrients to its kin more than it will a stranger Douglas fir.